Don't worry about that metallic clanking in the background, it's just us Transformer geeks powering up a fresh installment of Blaster to the Past. This time rolling out a 30th anniversary salute to those intrepid robots in disguise from Transformers, the movie. Cue cheesy synthesizer fanfare, and let's begin.
You got the touch. You got the power.
Transformers the Movie's arena rock tune, The Touch, was originally written by Stan Bush and Lenny Macaluso for Sylvester Stallone's Cobra. The Touch wound up in the shape-shifting robot epic instead, alongside Bush's Dare and songs from Weird Al Yankovic and Spectre General. But it was this goopy Reagan-era anthem that fans remember most. Living on beyond Transformers, The Touch was resurrected by Paul Thomas Anderson for his porn biz period piece, Boogie Nights, with future Transformers star Mark Wahlberg delivering an ear-splitting version of the song as the X-rated superstar Dirk Diggler.
You got the touch. You got the power. Yeah!
Is it over yet? Okay, let's roll on. Produced by Hasbro and distributed by the De Laurentiis Entertainment Group, the film was devised to bridge the gap into the third season of the animated show and expand the brand's popularity and mythology, which translates into the universal command directive of sell more toys. Set in the year 2005, 20 years after the events at the end of Season 2, the feature's plot was a classic Autobot vs. Decepticon clash, with a planet-munching Transformer tossed into the big screen mix. With the shocking death of Optimus Prime during an attack on Autobot City, the surviving Autobots are pursued by Galvatron. Galvatron, the regenerated form of Megatron, is a disciple of the robot trying to devour the Autobots' home planet. Oddly, it was never released to any foreign markets except for a small showing in the UK. It was intended to appeal to kids, but many parents objected to the traumatic violence depicted, with a debris field of robot scrap scattered from Earth to Cybertron. During the battle of Autobot City, Optimus Prime passes on to that big robot factory among the stars after a savage showdown with Megatron. Theatergoers were shocked to see the charismatic Autobot leader die mid-movie in a tearful, too-hanky scene, contributing to more childhood trauma.
Prime, you can't die!
Do not grieve.
During his dying moments, Optimus Prime changes color when he passes to the next realm. Director Nelson Shin explained that when Prime died, he, quote, changed his color from red and blue into gray to show the spirit was gone from his body. The original theatrical release of Transformers the movie was rated PG. G-rated movies at the time were relegated to fewer showings per day, so to secure the PG rating, Sunbow and Hasbro had to sprinkle in some profanity, like Spike saying, "Oh shit," in the middle of battle.
Oh shit, what are we gonna do now?
The VHS releases that followed cut out the cursing. Early drafts of the screenplay described more graphic Transformers deaths, but the finished film was pretty violent for an adolescent-targeted matinee movie. The creative team objected to the mass destruction. Screenwriter Ron Friedman recalled steaming arguments in pre-production, especially relating to the surprising death of Optimus Prime. Storyboards survived detailing a more brutal death for Ultra Magnus that was never used. This deleted scene was deemed too violent, with Magnus's limbs being torn apart with a Game of Thrones-style dismemberment. Nelson Shin felt it ruined the flow of Prime's attack leading up to his battle with Megatron. Many beloved Season 1 and Season 2 Transformers were eliminated in the chaos, including Prowl, Ratchet, and Ironhide, opening the portal for new characters and toys! Transformers were mainly marketed as toys for boys. Transformers the movie showcased the first female Autobot, Arcee, voiced by Susan Blue. In her original pink and white form, she becomes a girly sports car, but in later appearances, she morphed into a racing motorcycle. The character is the most visible girl Transformer in the franchise and was going to be introduced into the live-action series as early as 2007, but screenwriters could not explain why a robot looked like a woman. Arcee eventually appeared in 2009's Revenge of the Fallen, but was swiftly killed off by Michael Bay. Sell more toys! Composer Vince DiCola conjured up the catchy soundtrack using heavy metal guitar riffs injected with the electronic awesomeness of mid-80s synthesizer instrumentals. After Transformers, he went on to score Travolta's Staying Alive and Stallone's Rocky IV. Legendary Korean animator Nelson Shin was the logical choice to take the robotic reins of the Transformers movies, since he directed the Transformers TV series. Shin also worked on the opening credit cartoons for the Pink Panther movies and helped animate lightsaber blades in the original Star Wars. The great Orson Welles voiced the Colossal Unicron, with Welles's infamous girth lending a deep, rasping quality to the world-swallowing machine planet.
I am Unicron.
When asked about his role in the movie, Welles famously said, quote, "I play a planet. I menace somebody called something or other, then I'm destroyed." According to legend, Welles died 5 days after recording his final vocal session from his deathbed, making Transformers the movie the iconic actor's final performance. Alongside Welles and Transformers regulars Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime and Frank Welker as Megatron, some prominent stars lent their voice talents to the film. Leonard Nimoy voiced Megatron's rebooted self, Galvatron.
Behold, Galvatron.
Nimoy returned to the live-action Transformers series years later as the voice of Sentinel Prime in Dark of the Moon. Motormouth John Moshida Jr., the Micro Machine Man, named the world's fastest talker by Guinness, voiced the Speed Speech Blur.
Decepticons above me, Decepticons below me. Every place I look, I see Decepticons. I've been on stupid missions and stupider missions, but the stupidest mission I've ever been on.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
The shining Scatman Crothers provided the voice for Jazz and sadly died months after the film's release, making this his last film. Crothers was also the voice of Saturday morning cartoons martial arts mutt Hong Kong Phooey. Monty Python jester Eric Idle joined the party for comic relief as Wreck-Gar. Other notable voices included Robert Stack, Judd Nelson, and Shaggy himself, Casey Kasem. In addition to the steady outpouring of Hasbro toys, Marvel published official Transformers comics throughout the 1980s and sold a 3-part adaptation of the film in 1986. Editor Ralph Macchio wrote these comics based on an earlier draft of the movie script, explaining the altered design for the Autobot Matrix and a different death scene for Ultra Magnus. This Ralph Macchio, not this Ralph Macchio.
Wax on, wax off.
Animation duties were handled by Toei Animation of Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon fame. Their darker anime style gave Transformers a maturity and legitimacy that extended its appeal beyond the more mild-mannered TV version. Transformers only achieved a domestic box office haul of $5.8 million, costing Hasbro millions on this ambitious project. Celebrating its 30th anniversary of the film's initial release, it's an impressive advancement in the Transformers pantheon. Despite its dated soundtrack, the movie has aged gracefully and paved the way for later feature films that would rake in a combined $3.7 billion. That's it for another nostalgic chapter of Blaster to the Past. Follow us on Twitter @Blaster and head to Blaster.com for more dispatches from the world of fandom. And share your Transformers the movie memories with us in the comments. Until then, remember,
You got the touch! You got the power!
when you listen to this script, even with the involvement